Welcome back, everyone, to Thanks for Your Concern. You are here. You're here with Ella.
You're here. And I'm Berenice. What's up?
Oh, you know. I'm in a silly, goofy mood, bro. Oh,
you're a silly goose today. I love that. Why?
Babes, I'm gonna just spill it because at this point it just has to be spilled. So we know that TikTok tells on people. So I had someone I didn't want to see my TikTok, and my first reaction, like my gut reaction, was like, I really should double down on social media if I'm going to be unhinged once a month. Like, if I'm going to be unhinged once a month, I better be unhinged every single day. So there's like a method to the madness. I was talking to my therapist about it and just being like, honestly, like just talking about the podcast and how I really feel like it is overall like a light, a beacon. Like we don't say anything too crazy in a way that I feel like would offend the right people, but it might offend the wrong people, I'm not going to pretend like this is going to be everyone's cup of tea, but like the girls that get it. But she was like, she was like, whenever you talk about Berenice and the podcast, you just light up. And I'm like, you know what? It's true because I actually enjoy this shit. This is like the one thing I do outside of like working out, well, I have a lot of hobbies, but this is like my favorite hobby that just gives me so much joy. So I would never like let some stranger affect the art we do here,
Thank you for your bravery. I'm honored that is how you feel about this. I have oh my goodness. Okay. I have a similar experience when it comes to dating and social media and the podcast. One is my phone number is directly tied to my TikTok, so I know you're going to see it. Two is I have heard things about my Instagram per se because like I do wear it revealing. And the thing is, I'm not dressed for your man. I don't think people understand that, right? This is not for you. This is for my brand.
Literally.
This is so I can grow a business. So, you can make whatever assumption you want about me based on how I dress. I really do not care. As you start posting more, that's also a question that I raise. I'm like, ooh, how am I going to be perceived? However, that is not my responsibility. I did not get paid for that shit, right? So you have to learn to let it go. And if you're not going to let a stranger derail our art, neither am I.
No, babes. Sister. And let's be real. There's people who say some crazy takes, Yeah. I'm just talking openly about
my experience
in this world.
The vessel that is my journey.
The girl rights and the girl wrongs. It's all here.
For your entertainment.
It's entertaining. It's the hee-hee ha-has. I'm here for a fun time, not a good time. And so it is what it is, but double down. Double down. I'm gonna double 10 toes, boots on the ground down, okay? So there's that.
Oh, baby. Okay. Well, I love this art that we're creating.
Yep.
Should we get into the art?
Do you have an update? Do you have anything? Any tea?
Any tea? Honestly, no. I'm still it's fall and I am really giving wholesome now. I'm still okay, so here's my one tea. I've been hanging out with friend groups throughout the summer and a lot of people, and while that's been nice to include everyone and have a big old friend group, it is a lot of energy, and I forgot how consumed sometimes I get when I'm in a big group of people because I'm entangled with so many people's vibes. That last night I went to Suffolk Tucker. If you have not been to one of their shows, so good. They're not just I think at festivals they might just do a regular DJ set, but in their show, it's more of a concert. There's it's live music, there's performers, there's bits. I had such a genuine good time. I think it was an all ages show. It ended by 10 p.m. I was I love this vibe for me. I went with one friend that I just have always vibed since the beginning. She's dope. And I forgot how much fun that was. Like your one-on-one
Mm-hmm.
time with one homie, no mess, no fuss, no drama, not 10 different people's energies. And I was like, we're going back to this. So I guess that's like my only like tea that I've had as of recent. And yeah, we're honing back our energy a little bit from what was the summertime, which I feel like that's consistent with like a lot of people. You know, summertime we're outside, fall I'm going back inside, and I'm selecting a handpicked few that are coming back inside with me.
Love that energy. I know, like, honestly, I love what you're saying, and I feel like we're gonna have to like talk about it more. We'll do another season theme, maybe like next week or something, because we're coming up on Q4, babes. But today, Q4, where dreams come true.
Yeah, absolutely. We're figuring out what we want, what we really, really want.
Let's do it. Thanks for your concern. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I feel like as I've gotten older, things that you want, they change. They change over
Yeah.
time. There might be like a big dream, goal, or vision that maybe I've carried over the years, but specific things, they have just been more narrowed down. I always knew I wanted to have like my own little brand at some point when I was 10 years old. My activities were drawing on my little notebook product lines with my initials on them. Okay?
Hell yeah.
There were helicopters there too. So I've known what I wanted, what I really, really wanted. But I think sometimes I'm in the place where like I like to fuck around and find out with myself. You know, I like to procrastinate on this bigger thing that I may really, really want. What about you? What do you really, really want?
You know, I think I have a loose framework of what I really, really want. But I think right now well, not right now. Now I feel like I can really focus on like making the dreams happen. I feel like I had to work on the foundation. You know what I'm saying? Because like you cannot build anything
Yeah.
on like a loosey goosey gravel foundation. And I don't think that's where people mess up, but I think that's something that when you're moving fast towards goals, you might not have like worked on yourself enough to like really sustain success. So now I feel like I'm almost thankful that I haven't gotten everything I wanted at the time that I wanted it, because I don't think I would have handled it. But like now I feel like, okay, babes, we can handle it.
Yeah.
So now we got to work on it.
It must be age. It must be age. Our frontal lobes are fully developed. We're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm in that same energy. I feel like there's two parts of like getting what you want. Obviously, one is figuring out what the fuck that is. And that might actually bigger part for some people. And then two is how to get it, right?
Yep.
I think in like figuring it out what it is, sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want than what you really, really want. And if you're having a hard time figuring out what you want, sometimes start with what you don't want.
It's crazy because I think some people have given up on dreams, and I think like dreams might
So
change,
fun.
you know? And like when I was a little kid, my dream was to become president. Can we believe that? I literally wanted
I
to be
could see
Madam.
it.
I know, I wanted to be Madam President. Like I was literally like, I think I wanted to be president up until like my sophomore year of college.
I
And
remember.
yeah,
Ella came back from hanging out with a boy and she's like, he's gonna be Bill, I'm gonna be Hillary.
oh God.
This was pre 2016, I will say that.
He was he was about it for a minute, but then, we both moved on. We both moved on in big ways from that. But I mean, this is like a little bit of lore that I guess I'll drop. I wasn't even expecting to drop it, but like, okay, I was poli-sci for a while. I was a poli-sci major, and I am not exaggerating. Like, do you guys remember when it was like Charlottesville and they had the torches and there was like a picture of a torch man? So literally like one of the most iconic torch man photos is a person that was in my poli-sci classes. And I literally and this is like not an exaggeration, like this is very much real. And I just remember
Yeah.
being like, yeah, I am too funny and pretty to argue with men like this for my entire existence. And like even now with this the presidential election, people are saying whack shit about Harris that I literally am like, you guys are critiquing her but not bringing that same energy to the conspiracy felon man, and it pisses me
Yeah.
off. But anyways, but I realized that being president wasn't part of the dream. You know, like that wasn't the ultimate dream. And so, but some people just completely give up thinking like just because I don't want to be president now they've given up on dreams completely. Instead of thinking like why did I want to be president and what is at the core of that that I can still achieve?
Yeah.
Power. I wanted power. No.
I wanted power, fame. Who's more famous than the president, you know? We're
No,
going top of the food chain.
yes. But part of it was being like of like of a positive light for the community and being a leader. I still
Yes.
want that.
That's beautiful. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of like intersecting passions that sometimes seem a little like they're undecided about. I think that happened to me in college where like I knew I really wanted to go into clothes, but I also really cared about people and society and like how was I gonna put these two things together? You know what I mean? I thought about, do I want to become a lawyer? Then I worked at a law office and I was like, this, I'm miserable here. I'm actually way too empathetic for this position. And I go home feeling like this world is gloomy and dark and nothing will ever get fixed ever. So I
Yep.
thought, maybe this is not my journey. Maybe being a lawyer, it may not be my journey as of right now, right? How can we pivot? How can we still do the things that I have a passion for, which is to be creative and still care about people? And I focused on basically finding social issues within how like the fashion industry like correlates to all of that, and it's just something that supports, I guess, still systems of racism, sexism, etc. And I found my thing. I was like, oh my god, I could like really hone in on the fashion industry and its impact in society and the environment, and that is still a way to like put these two things that I have a passion for together.
Oof. Gives me chills, baby. Because I
Yeah.
see the fucking vision, you know?
Yeah.
But what you said, and that I think is really good about dreams, is you said that you like went into a law office and you like said, like you did the thing, you know, to see like if this is actually something you want to work towards. And I did something similar. I had an internship at the Center of Disease Control, like one of their research offshoots. And this is really embarrassing, but I literally was like, when do you start making like Louboutin money?
When do I get my red bottoms? Okay.
Like I like okay in retro like this was like this was high school, so I thought I was I was kikiing with them. I was like this seems like a lot of work because like you have to be a fucking like get a PhD to move up in this field. So I was like, God, that's a lot of schooling. And I was like, so when's like the money come in? And then they were like, how much are Louboutins? And I was like, I don't know, like a grand, maybe 2,000. And they were like, and they started laughing. They're like, bro, no, there's never Louboutin money. And I was like, see, so this isn't it, you know? I was a lot more materialistic at the time. But like these are the real questions. You need to find people that are doing what you think you want to be doing and talk to them about their day-to-day life. What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? And feel like if what they're saying is like correlates with like your being and what you want to do, then you have to go to the next part, which is like make a plan.
100%. I think that there are a lot of people that have the opportunities to dive into some. Like, I know I had that opportunity because my sister was working at a law firm. I know sometimes it's like a little hard to like get your foot in the door in places. So if you don't have the opportunity to majaggle on some of those, by not figuring out by figuring out what you don't want, and assessing other options, it could make you more passionate about the thing that you want and encourage you to find those more opportunities. So if you have like a secondary dream that maybe is not dream number one, like still maybe shoot for that and like see that through, because then you could figure out, oh my God, maybe I thought I wanted this, but I'm actually really enjoying option number. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
don't get discouraged because option number one is not available at the moment. Option number two may actually be a building tool for option number one, per se. I thought I wanted to come to New York and I thought I wanted to go straight into design. Now, upon coming into New York, I realized that may be an unrealistic dream because design jobs pay you $45,000 a year. baby girl, me, $45,000 a year? This is not going to sustain this lifestyle. All right. We like
Yeah.
stability in this house. So that's why it's like, maybe that's not what I want. Ended up in a merchandising buying position. It was not originally what I wanted. Is this something where I have grown tremendously in the past like 4 years of my life? Astronomically. Professional wise, like skills with branding, like so many things that like my brain had not yet concurred on my own as like a creative person working in the positions that I did. So the secondary dream may not be exactly the dream, but it is a dream. I joke about this with my friends because I've been interviewing in some places. Hope no one from my work hears this. And I know you
Hey.
guys. You know what? Keep your options open, okay?
Yep.
And I was just feeling like so frustrated, and I felt like I was failing and whatever. And then I was like, wait, I've been going to like really big like fashion corporate offices to interview for these positions where I'm actually being considered. Like I'm actually speaking. I'm making it to last round interviews. You know what I mean? In a really competitive fashion field in New York City. I'm living some bitch's dream.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not my own yet, but I am living a bitch's dream. And for that, I wouldn't have to be grateful. And two, just like this is just not exactly where I want to be yet. And maybe I had to learn and I have to figure out, okay, I don't want this anymore for me to like get to the next step.
When you're thinking about a plan and how you're going to achieve some things, I would say it's better to have a plan and then have the plan not work than have like no plan at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's better to like commit to the bit of like, hey, right now I'm in like a corporate tech startup, and is it exactly what I want to be doing? I don't actually know because I don't really like want to work. That's really what I'm coming to gripes with. But as far as working goes, I'm trying my damnedest. I'm gaining a lot of skills there. Have the skills become realized yet? No, but I'm sure some of this shit is going to be useful for when I like just build my own business, maybe start a tech startup of my own. Who knows, baby? But um at least I'm committing to what I'm doing now and doing the best that I can at that. Like I'm being the best tech yuppie I can be at this point. Um that's never going to hinder you. That's never going to like not be useful, is to try the best at the plan that you're at right now. And then while you're here, let's see, okay, well, let's pivot and then just commit to the next plan.
And then this is the part where it's like, okay, I figured out what I want, or maybe what I don't want, what I don't really don't want. How do we get to what we want? I love a plan.
You got to sit down, you got to make a plan. And like, I know some people are like, what do you mean make a plan? I kind of like to do like backwards planning where it's like fully envision like what I want. And this is kind of manifestation in a way too. Like manifestation is like believing that you're there, but then the plan is like putting into action how to get there. But I kind of like to realize, okay, like, and if you don't know what you want and you don't know the dream yet, like how would you live your life if you could? Like what does that look like? Like what type of house do you want to be living in? What type of money do you want to be making? Like what type of lifestyle do you want? Okay, so to do that you need to make X amount of money, so then you need to have X amount of career. So it's like if your dream is to be the president of the United States, okay, what does that look like? Okay, well, you're gonna have to work your way up, figure out how to do the step before. It's like, okay, well, a lot of presidents are senators, and before senators they're mayors, and then they're like this, and kind of figure out how to pathway to get there. I think unless you're trying to do something extremely novel, there's other people doing it. So I think it's a really good time to like network. I know people probably hate that, thinking you should network. But honestly, people love to talk about themselves. So if you reach out and say, hey, I noticed you do XYZ, it's something I'm very much interested in. Could we talk for 30 minutes about how you got there? Other people's experiences can be really valuable of like what they learned to get there and what they learned not to do.
Yeah. I did that recently. I like invited somebody for like a cup of coffee, and I just asked whatever I wanted about like their journey. And then this person ended up like becoming like a friend. So you never know like where things will lead. And then, they were like kind of like in the arts thing, and they took me to a play, and I was just like, okay, like this is just like a different world, a different experience that I just haven't been in, but it is like a
Mm-hmm.
possibility to like go that route. I'm with you. I think that when you want something, you have to get ready to receive it, right? So you have to become that person to receive it. And sometimes I see people who like, including myself, who I was like, well, I want like this type of lifestyle. I want to be in this mental state and I want like a healthy relationship. Well, I cannot get to a healthy relationship if I'm like super jaded, I have like horrible habits, and I'm like going out till 5 a.m. in the morning. Like, unless they're going out with me, like, I really do not foresee me being like, I'm gonna meet somebody that's like super stable, goes to sleep at 10, and they're gonna be cool with me being like out and about till 5 in the morning. Like, that is delusional thinking, right?
Yes. Oh, it's so crazy because I was thinking of some of the best like dating advice I got, and it's from an unlikely place. I think it was Love is Blind season 1. It was Love is Blind season 1 or maybe 2 or something. And the dad asked the fiance like, "Hey, would like you marry you?" And he kind of got a little. Actually, it might not. It was one of the Netflix dating shows. They were like, "Would you marry you?" And the person kind of got a little tripped up. Like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, oh, I didn't, let me think about that. Like, yes, I would. And I was watching that and I was like, you know what? I don't think I would marry me. I would date me. I don't think I'd marry me because I just haven't had shit like all the way figured out. I didn't have, and not even that I wouldn't marry me, but the person I would want to marry, I don't think would marry me the way that my life was at the time, which is what you're kind of talking about, which is like,
Yeah.
I am sure there's some dude who's super down to do exactly what the lifestyle that I was living, but that's not the type of dude I wanted to marry. I wanted to marry someone like super stable, like an entrepreneur on his shit, living like a certain lifestyle, but I wasn't living it. What? That doesn't make sense. I'm still getting there. I'm not fully there either. So like we're still working on it, but I'm definitely a lot closer now than I was before.
100%. And I would say, even if that's not your moment, like right now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get there. I think I was like getting close to like having things more together prior to the summer. Like this summer, I went unhinged cuckoo bananas. Like, truly, I don't know who that was.
That wasn't my friend back there.
That's not me. I think it took me being surrounded by a lot of situations that I was like, I don't want this to be my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I kind of liked it better when it was like more quiet and I had my routines and I had all my shits together. I like that better. So now it's like, okay, now we're going to go back to that. But it did take being around a specific environment for me to be like, yeah, I'm not going to find somebody I want to date here because everybody here is nuts. Like, this is not gonna better me. Too, I was talking to somebody and they're sober, and one of the first things I guess I asked myself was, am I positive for this person, right? Is my lifestyle sustainable for this person? No. Even if they like to entertain it, even if they like me right now in this moment, I have not fixed all the shit right now that I just like very quickly like it's like I had a box of crayons and I threw them all out for the summer, and now I'm like, oh shit, we gotta go pick up the crayons,
Yeah.
And like as I'm picking them back up, I just know that like my box is just not complete yet, so I like cannot actually get into anything with anybody that has their box complete because mine's still missing some crayons. I gotta go pick them back up.
No, I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not there yet, and I think I mean, I've even done this. Like, I would say, like, to be completely frank, I feel like my boyfriend, I saw like what I wanted, not where I was. And I think it caused a lot of tension in our relationship early on. I think that's like one of my not huge mistakes, but like I distinctly remember Berenice being like, girl, this isn't it because of where I was at the time. And I agreed with her. Like, it's funny. It's like, you're like, I know, but I'm going to keep going. That's one of those things that you keep doing. But like, I think you saying like, I'm not ready for this person right now is so self-aware instead of stringing them along, hoping.
Yeah, and just letting them know in the beginning that that's just like where my head's at and being like realistic. Because sometimes I'm like, why are you attracted to me if our lifestyles are not compatible, right? Like, are you being Delulu or am I being Delulu? Are we both being Delulu? And now I'm a risk management girly. I
Not
like,
risk management.
yeah, because I love people. Like, I really do. And I love making friends. And sometimes I just get a little too deep into relationships where it takes me a really long time to rally friendship after. So I just would rather not even. Like, I just really want to assess if this is like worth the risk of like losing this person in my life, having them not be a friend, and if I'm not sure about the situation, if it's the math's not currently mathing, let's just be friends. Let's table this for a little bit. Let me, work around it. Let's see how our compatibility goes. It's just friendship, and then maybe we can go from there. But like, yeah, you never know. You never know about the math. The box of crayons got to be complete, and it was giving -2 plus 3.
What's interesting about like the math problem is sometimes people like have the answer they want to get to, they have four, but it needs to be a little bit more specific than that. Okay. What, so like if you're saying like, oh, I want love. What does love look like? I want friendship. What does friendship look like? I want X. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like? Let's break it down a little bit smaller. What do you really want?
I think with the How to Get It, Ella was talking about this a few weeks ago. I think it was that making a pop star show on Netflix, and one of the
Mm-hmm.
girls gets cut, and she's like, "This is my dream," and I'm like already kind of here. Casting director or whatever was like, "It is your dream, and I think you are gonna get there. This is just not it right now, and you will find another and maybe even better opportunity, more suitable for you." And I think that's like looking at the bigger picture. Like sometimes
Mm,
I've had opportunities where I'm like, oh my God, I could really send it right now. And I could tell you like in the past, it just like didn't feel ready. Like even with like trying to launch anything by myself, it happened when I first moved to New York, where like I started making little outfits. It blew up on TikTok, and I knew right there and then I had like quit my job that if I continued it in full throttle, I maybe could have done something. However, I was not like I didn't have a support system. I just didn't have like my footing down yet. Like I just didn't feel grounded, and I just knew I was like, I just don't think this is my moment for this. Like I am
yeah.
not ready yet. And so we did go back to corporate America. Now, I feel 2 years post that, with all the experience now I have from buying, I'm feeling so much like different about that situation. I'm older, I have a support
Yeah.
system, I'm grounded. Like I have gone through the shitters in 2 years emotionally, where I now know like anything that happens, I'm gonna be okay. Like we worked on those tools. We've healed from some shit we needed to heal, and now we're ready to get our shit together. We're ready to get there.
How beautiful. And we have it all recorded week by fucking week, bitch.
Ew!
Woo!
It
But
was like this.
literally. But I resonate with that too. Where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's been a crazy 2 years. And I sometimes I think like a lot of times I see people on social media where like they blow up super quick and they just like don't know like how to handle it. And like
Yeah.
even like with pop stars and stuff, because it's like, oh, you didn't actually plan for this to happen this quickly, huh?
Hmm.
And you weren't actually ready for like what you fully wanted, or it's just like it kind of got blew up out of your hands.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see people on those journeys where you're like, maybe, yeah, it's just interesting to see.
It can be a double-edged sword. It's nice to
Yeah.
blow up at the beginning. Obviously, it's nice to be noticed and recognized, but like if it's taking you a little longer to get there, that's totally okay. You're just literally mentally preparing yourself for when you get there. And your journey
Yep.
was going to look completely different, and it might even look a little better because once you get there, like I think about that too with moving to New York. I have no idea how I would have turned out if I would have been here at 18. Like the younger that you are,
Mm,
the more like susceptible you are to so many like influences and things by other people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, so I do recognize that as like when you're thinking about maybe you want to make a bigger move and right now you're just like not in the right situation, like don't get frustrated, because the older that you are, the more like secure you are in yourself whenever you get to where you need to.
Honestly, I love that, and I think that's why I really like autobiographies and master classes about people talking about like getting someplace, and I find them really inspirational. And you actually talked about that podcast, or the podcast How We Built This,
Mhm.
that I really enjoy. And I think there's something like really inspirational about hearing someone who also didn't like blow up and get everything right when they wanted it and had to work at it for years and years and years. I think like especially with social media, because you can blow up so quickly, I think we forget that there's like this whole different path of like working at something for a really long time to get there. And I kind of have like thought about like throwing away timelines. It's just like, okay, it doesn't matter how quickly it happens. it's that it happens. And so kind of instead of like when you're setting goals, instead of hit it saying like I need to hit this number by this date, it's more like what am I going to do that I have control over? Like I'm going to do this task or this project by this time, instead of like trying to control an outcome that is completely out of your control. It's like you have to just have the discipline to put in the actions instead.
And I think everything that you do builds identity when you're doing it authentically. The only way that you're going to do it is not going to look the same way that other people are going to do it. I think that when you meet somebody that's authentic, that's like truly themselves, that are doing something a little different, and at first my first thing is to judge it. Like, you could do this, you could do that. And when people kind of tell me to shut the fuck up, I'm like, period. I'm like, okay, queen, you got this. You know, it's like, no, I have a plan. Because I think people come up to me like that a lot. They're like, oh, you should do this and you should do that. And you're just like, for me, I'm like, oh, I'm already working on it. I'm just not working it in the way that you expect to see it. But it doesn't mean it's not there. I'm going at my own pace. I'm doing what I feel good about right now. And it might just not look exactly what people expect it to look like. But every once in a while, I take a look around and I'm like, well, I'm already at a different level where I was like a few months ago. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a very gradual change, but it's also a change that has allowed people to like watch me grow. And believe me, there's some stands.
Hell yeah, you got a lot of stands.
Thank you guys. I love you too.
I mean, we love a good well, it's because it's like good energy, bro. And like, you know, I think another way of the plan is like if you don't know the how or the what, it's really hard, but like at least like have the core values of like how you want to move to a goal, you know? Like if you're like, okay, well, I just want to like live authentically or treat people in a certain type of way, that can like help guide you too. Where it's like, okay, well, just make sure that you have overarching values that are guiding your action plan if you don't have like the
Yeah.
specifics worked out. It's like, okay, well, at least I'm living within my values, baby. I know that I'm like working towards something and it's not exactly planned out, but at least I know that I'm like being true to myself.
In figuring out what you want and what you don't want, there's a lot of situations that just involve being around people. Sometimes you figure out some people are not what you want, or some people are what you want. Sometimes people can use you to get what they want. And I think that we can't really control when people are going to do that, but we can control the way that we interact with people and how genuine we are with our interactions. So, in that note, I would just say, like, if you know that maybe there's people in your life you don't want, navigating that also with some grace and some kindness up to an extent, you know, if they're not like super negative doing things to you, but you know they're just not the right crowd. Communicating goes a long way. I think that there's people in my life where they've noticed that I'm not someone they want in their life. And although I respect that, like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not meant to be in everybody's life. That's okay. Sometimes I do feel like, damn, that person really Irish goodbye out of my life, rather than just being like, hey, you know, like, I'm grateful for our friendship. I just feel like right now our paths are not aligned. And I think that conversation would have given me so much like a closure and respect for another human being, rather than like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would say that as a no. And I do that too with people where I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to this person in a really long time. It's not personal, but I'm going to just check in with them and see how they're doing, just so they know, like, I still care for them, even if our paths right now are no longer aligned.
That one I have a hard time with because, you know, you said something like, I don't know, this was like a year ago, but you're like, you give people like two chances, like you reach out to them two times and then you're like, done. And I was like, you know what? I've reached out to this person twice. Oh, well, you know, but I don't know. I think sometimes like it's like just building the life that you want. And that includes the people that you surround yourself with, you know, like I think I love Berenice so much because she has a vision, bro. And I want to be around people that have vision.
I love
But it's
Ella
true.
so much because she has a big heart.
Big heart. But like no, you got to like if you want to be a hustler, be around hustlers. Like if you want to have a fucking book club, be around people that like books, bitch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like put yourself in the
Yeah.
right setting around right people and like I don't know. I don't think it has to be like personal per se, but yeah, I think an easy way to like you got to shift everything, right? You can't change everything about your life except for the people you surround yourself in. You got to change everything if you want everything to change.
Yeah.
Whoa. I just came up with
One
that one.
Listen, listen, I 2 weeks ago, literally to this date, because like I be so dramatic. I love oversharing on social media now. I was like, nothing changes if nothing changes. So I literally just started changing everything, my approach to literally everything. I was like, I feel not good in this. Okay, how am I responding to it? Let's switch that. Like literally, what's the alternative method of dealing with this? And it's been working. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like the relationships in my life. Like I'm in the fields with everybody. I'm often accused of crushing on all my friends, and they're right. Like I love you all. Let's make
That's
out with consent, obviously.
obviously. But that's beautiful, right?
Yeah,
You should not that like, oh, you should love everyone in your life, but like, yeah, if there's someone that you don't fucking vibe with, I don't know why they're there. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah,
If you ever find yourself being a hater, you got to figure out how to what it is. And I think that's another
yeah.
thing about like having a plan is that like or having a dream is if you see someone else and you see yourself hating, figuring out what is about them because usually it's because they're at some place that you're not at yet, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? So it's just like you don't know how hard they've worked to get that.
Everybody will get there at their own pace. Don't stress. I did that a lot this year because I did not that I was like comparing myself to other people's lives, but when you start growing, you do start realizing that people are just in a different life place, and it really makes you feel about a way about where you're at and what you still want, and maybe where it's not correlating with like the reality that you thought for yourself at this moment. Other people are starting to make their next life move. You're like, what is my next life?
Something I've always struggled with personally is that like because I don't necessarily like dream of getting married or dream of having kids when people are like, "Oh, like, you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years like personally?" And I'm like, "Well, fucking doing basically the same thing but hopefully more successful." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a weird thing cuz it's like I don't have like those milestones that like other people might be like really looking forward to and I kind of have to like deal with that. Like it's like, "Oh, that's okay." And then I sometimes see myself like, "Oh, do I want to get married?" Just because I see my friends getting married, and it's like, no, I that's not necessarily like my goal. So good for them that they're doing that, but it doesn't need to be for me.
Well, Ella, I think we're doing great. Sometimes I think about the bigger dream, and there's like some kinks to it that I gotta get to, but I'm like, I'm living it. You know what I mean? Good family, good friends. I eat
Babes,
good
yeah,
food. Can't complain.
literally. I honestly, in the grand scheme of life, it's good to always have goals, but like, let's be thankful for what we have. I literally am living a version of a dream. You know, this
Yeah,
is V1, and like I'm working on V2 of a dream, but this is a dream that I should be thankful for.
period.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Drop us your dreams in our DMs. You can find us on social media at thanks number
Yeah.
4 you're concerned. I'm at Ella L Tutor.
I'm at Berenice DSM.
We love you guys so much. Subscribe, tell a friend, hit us with a 5-star review. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.